And now is the time for the blue bus to set out, where all these wonderful, intuitive transmissions came through Norina Matchabelli. We're reading one today, and it was one that was unpublished, but ready for publication.
Yeah, actually, that shows the initial publication dates. So it's number 6 in the series, the second unpublished one. You want to start?
Mystical Life 6 by Princess Norina Matchabelli. Be certain that I do the transmutation in consciousness. Meher Baba makes known to me the following. I am you, me in calm. Do not worry, O you, my life, in self-realizing anguish. Do not pay the tribute to I, for being in I, the pain. Do not see in pain the suffering of I. Do in I see the benediction of mind in I that in I has to suffer. Live in I, in mind, in pain, in joy, in conscious self, realizing reaction. This is the real sense of the word, to be in I, in mind, in reactionless calm. To be in mind, in reactionless state of mind, is to have the realized show in I, in harmony in I, the truth. See in this my I. See in this me, here being calm in the show of opposition. See in I, me as calm in mind, show in I the realization reaction. See me be in war in I, in realization order, in calm. I am the state of immutable calm. I am the show in immutable, indivisible, unreactive reaction. I am in you, me in calm. See in this the wonder of being in the world, and in it free of fear of the world and its reactions. Its realization reactions in I. Its work in I is I as wonder-doing transmutation of consciousness. This certainty that I here do the transmutation in consciousness has to bring in mind in men the superconscious order in conscience.
It is in this that I here am the selfless man who has to make good, be in use in I, the truth experience. I here say this to you to create in you more confidence in this wonder work in mind and being. To say this to anyone in mind in the usual way of I is waste. No one is ripe in I in mind, in I in being, to know in I as self-realization in I in conscious reaction, that I am in the I as wonder order of self-realization. Truth is the existence in I. God is the pure intuition order in I. All is progression in conscious knowing of truth as I, as one all I, in use in I, as the human being. This is clear, and it is true, and it is wonder-doing on the way. It is the transmutation in consciousness. So it is in this mind and I, in you, my own disciple, that I now win in you the God-conscious show in experience. To say this is, as it is fact, that I here demonstrate in I as me, the exponent of God in conscious realization order as human being. To see me truth, to see in me truth as mind and being, one is in love in me with God. I desire in me that you be in love with him in me, the realized order of oneness in manyness. I desire in you to be in I, in mind, in me, the truth, as mind in being, that is conscious of him in me. I desire in you the wonder in self-realization to be the I desire in you the wonder in self-realization to be the impersonal realization reaction, till I in you, in mind, in one, in you, resurrect in you the I as one, as I as one, as I as me. This I here say to let you and all show in I the desire to live in yourself for truth as the absolute design in mind of God. It is indifferent if one is in God in I impersonal, as real aspirant of truth, or if one is here in me, resigned in mind, in I, as human self-realized, reacting I for use of me, as truth exponent of I as God.
Let it be show to all the God-seeker in I, as aspirants of God absolute, that in I is God, the I as it is, in all the modifying phases in consciousness. I am in all in I, God in conscious realization reaction, the I, which is universal in knowing in being. This is to make it sure in all that I here show in you the way to truth by being in you the realization conscious disciple who is here to use in I the use of the conscious I for use of I, me. I here say to all, believe in the one in I. Make it a point to know in intuition what is true and real good in realization reaction. It is life as it is doing in pain. It is I, in I as human being, doing as human being, the self-realizing order in I in conscience. This is to make you all sure that I here am for use and for good real purpose. God is making fast progression in the mind of men, in the I, in the self, in the I, in mind, in being. He is doing fast progression in all the mental stages in I, to see the dual I arise in mind, in self, to life, realized in mind, in being. This progression is in man himself, in conscience. This progression is in himself, in mind, in I as human being, that is winning in I the truth as self-effective state in I. To see, to know, to realize in himself truth, man is God longing. This is real, and it is showing in every hour of his one in I, in tribulation, to win in I the state of real good balance of I, of head in heart, of him in I, as truth order, impersonal in conscience. God is here, the progressing order to make in I the full experience of God. This is all, the show in use in us, that is realizing the truth. This is all the mental craving in us to live a life of greater, more real, more good outcome. All is good in bad, in simultaneous realization reaction. The threefold order to see, to know, to be in I, the realization of truth. God is pure realization in I of truth. Meher Baba states, I here am to lead in I, the pure one in I, to fulfillment in I, as human self. This is the new mind in men. This is the pure, real conscience in I, in mind, in being as spirit conscious life. That is more and more real. This is to make in I, in mind, in being, the realization order in I, be the I as God, who is inherent truth, as state of being that is knowing of the truth.
God is to be experience of God, to make an I, life in I, mind in I, be realized state of being of truth. We as the motive in I, react in I, as motive in use in him free. We know in us is he the befreeing order. We see that in us is he, the reaction in being, that is joy of existence as unison in experience. This experience is joy to be in use in him, free. No one is free in himself until surrendered in him, the divine self. This is selfless growing in joy of one's own mind in I. This is selfless growing in joy of one's own mind, the I, the self, the pure, the real one in I as being. God in us is free of fear, free of argument. Mayor Baba here states, free of self in use in I is he who in use in I is self in I for use, to use the self in reaction. Free and unself-conscious in the motive and in the self in use as self-reaction imperative, in the four view-making reaction order in I, is the man who is above action. This is to see action as unself-conscious in self-reacting order imperative, in the four view-making order as the reaction I states, as being, and that is wonder. Mayor Baba in use in I imperative, in use in being, is creation in use of truth as him. See to be free of use in I. See to be him for use in I. See to serve in him free. To be unself-conscious, real, is to be free. Mayor Baba speaks. Create, give, do, realize in me. I shall in me free the one in I existence. I shall in thee free me in being. I shall give you free path in me to see in me you as I, as one, as truth.
His divine grace of love is beyond description, yet its signs are evident. It is love, rhythm of unseen origin. It is love, motion of experienced reaction. It is motion of mind in calm. It is unselfish existence. It is oneness in manyness. God in use in us is experience of him here, doing in us, the vibrating order to be in him, the I, the one. He in us here, seeing in us, him is lure to live in tune in him, for him. We love him, and in the love which we know, see, and realize, and true selfless experience, we capitulate. In being in him resigned, we live and realize in this truth as form, as act, as realizing order to act in him, for him, as use to bring in him, God. Alive and vibrant, we see in him the true, real I. Alive and in self, in tune in him. We see our own life show in use in him. We see, know, feel in use in us is him, God, as the experience. Meher Baba says, do in this wonder, see, know, find in it, you in me, as creation in reaction, to use in vibration, me as sound, as vibration in word.
Recording. We completed the introduction to the Norina's gift, and now we're going to start with the fragments of a spiritual diary, beginning with Adi Keirani's introduction. So, and this is from the Trust website, and okay, so begin with the forward.
Forward. Princess Norina Matchabelli, who has offered to the Master these fragments of her spiritual diary, has always been divinely gifted with the capacity for deep prayer. It was because of her selfless dedication to the divine cause of the Master that the Master selected her for the projection of the spiritual light through her. One who is childlike in simplicity and free from all prejudice can be the true recipient of divine light, which is the same as divine love. Aglow with the fervor of sincere prayer, she has become a spiritual messenger by being accepted by the Master for his divine work. Through her earlier devotion to Jesus Christ, as well as through many inner spiritual experiences at a later stage, she was prepared for meeting the Master in person and for being accepted by him for a special type of his spiritual work. She has alluded to some of her own intimate spiritual experiences, which she had before meeting the Master, in the following words. Since my very childhood, I knew of God. He came to me with his grace. He acted into my heart with his creative love. I was compelled to follow the spiritual way of life. He rescued me at the early age of 12, at the time of my emotional awakening. He came as Jesus Christ and spoke to me. He explained to me in words of sublime wisdom that this love, which had begun to surge within me, was an imperative longing for the fulfillment of the highest form of love, spiritual. He spoke to me in the unforgettable words, which are working within me even today and are creating in me a deeper realization of the divine theme of life. He said, "I am your first and last love." The significance of these words was fully realized by me when I met Meher Baba in 1931 and recognized him as the Christ personified. And when the Master, without any reference on my part, told me that he was the one who came to me in the form of Christ to give me the spiritual lead, he established in me the unconditional faith in him.
Since I met the Master, I love him more than myself. And while I say this, I recall my experience in 1947, when after a long illness, during which all hope and joy of life had faded, and all my energy had been exhausted for good or for bad, I received from the Master a cable ordering me to return to him in India. In that moment of enthusiasm created by this merciful news, I realized that even while apparently descending into a state of poverty of health and mental despair, my life had finished a turnover only to rise upward towards its real fulfillment. My will imperatively directed me to come to India, not for myself, but for the service of the Master, that he may express himself through me. He consciously projected his thought order into me so that he may see himself think through me. I, as his disciple, am fully conscious of this. I came to India to fulfill the dream of my life, which is to exist through him and in him and for him as a living instrument for him to express himself. Through the divine love that flows through Meher Baba perpetually, he transforms the consciousness of those who come to him for liberation, that they may know through experience what the philosophers of all times have taught theoretically. This is exemplified by several significant and determinative experiences which she had in 1927. As described by her, among the spiritual experience which she had in 1927 was the mystical experience of witnessing one's own death, in which she not only experienced the stopping of bodily life, but also the termination of lower consciousness, and was temporarily swallowed up in the reality as light. In her attempt to intuitively capture the experience of life in all its forms, high and low, she succeeded in getting even into the stone state and experienced that even in that most rudimentary form of consciousness, which is the earliest phase of divine manifestation, the great urge to evolve, expand, and arrive at self-knowledge was inarticulately but powerfully present. Before she actually met the Master in New York, her soul was astir with the divinely restive anticipation that she was at the threshold of a new beginning of life. And it knew that the greatest turning point in her life was to come when she would be meeting the Master. When the meeting actually took place, her heart wept with joy, for she was, after all her sufferings, at last face to face with divinity.
Norina Matchabelli has explained that later in 1941, a definite call to speak about the Master and his mission to those in America came to her from within, and that, though the Master was at that time in India, thousands of miles away from America, she received the thought order to move from the eastern coast to the western coast of the USA. As a result of that, she took the holy name of Meher Baba to the centers of spiritual activities, applying herself to the spiritual mission of the Master. She had gone there with the blessings of the Master, and since she was entirely in tune with the Master, her lectures to groups of spiritual aspirants were a source of great help to them. Many members of the audience had spiritual experiences of the highest order, and they felt convinced that the Master was doing his spiritual work through her addresses. I am herewith reproducing extracts from letters from two important persons who had the privilege to attend her lectures. Here S.C. writes, "When the princess entered the room and started to speak, after a few moments, I was impressed with what Baba transmitted through her. But I was particularly impressed with what I actually saw. What I saw was a simple, very matter-of-fact material occurrence. I saw coming through the princess lines of energy going in all directions, reaching into everyone present in the room, just in the same way as you would imagine electrical energy coming continually from a battery. The lines were solid and well-defined, no hazy image or something intangible. It was later, when I was at home and thought over what actually had taken place, that I realized the great work that a powerful Master was actually accomplishing from such a great distance."
I asked myself the question, what is the meaning of these lines of radiation? A great Master like Meher Baba does not do things just to show power. For the 10 or more years that I have known Baba, one of the outstanding features that characterized him was work. Baba always works, and we, the human beings of the world, are the objects of his work. God is always in servitude. I suddenly realized the purpose of these lines of electrical power radiation. Of course, they are more powerful and more subtle than electricity. They were intended to cleanse the layers of our accumulated mind impressions, which Baba calls sanskaras. Mr. D.S. described his experience in another lecture by the princess. He wrote, It seemed as though my heart, in which I was so strongly conscious at the time, went straight up to my head and seemed to fuse or unite with a center there. At the time of the experience, I suddenly became aware that I had slipped the karmic bonds and ties of this incarnation and more. That I had also escaped the whole lower cycle of painful, benighted lives, and was experiencing the beginning of a new life wave, infinitely more beautiful and complete, even within its scope, than anything the old life cycle could possibly conjure up. As described by the princess, the master, through her, made a direct and stirring appeal to all the members of the audience, where she went with his message. His words rang with unchallengeable authority. Through her, he said, "I am the new Christ. You have waited and waited for me for a long time. I am the real guide. You will know my reality through direct experience. You will know me. You will see me. You will feel me. This divine revelation shall be my grace. You are born to love the living God." As it happens in all pioneer work, particularly in the spiritual field, she had to face a good deal of prejudice and opposition. Some, in their self-complacency, said that they were quite content with the modern civilization as expressed in secular education and philosophy, or the organized religion of established churches. And instead of catching the new rhythm of the fresh teachings, they closed their minds with fixed ideas and wanted to judge in the light of their narrow ideology. To all such, Meher Baba gave a direct reply through the disciple. "The princess has kindly given me important extracts about many categorical announcements and statements which the Master made through her in thought order. I am reproducing only a few from these extracts." He said,
"You need not weigh the pros and cons of what I say. What is necessary is that you should understand it. You have to understand it once and forever. You shall be a witness of my work of transmutation of consciousness in mankind. It does not matter whether I do this now at once or whether I take more time, for the divine performance of bringing about the radical change of life in mankind. What matters is that I shall do it within the next few years. It will be so demonstratively visible that whosoever is a changed being shall find me as the cause behind the effect. I am the Lord and the servant of the world. You will need me. Remember that you cannot miss me because you need me." From the varied types of gatherings to which he presented Meher Baba's spiritual thought order came different kinds of questions. They represent and express the severely intellectual approach, which is characteristic of our times. Some of the significant questions, along with the Master's answers through her, are being reproduced below. Question: What is the difference between the words spoken by ordinary persons and those spoken by you? Answer: my word is power. My thought is action. I am the truth. There was pin-drop silence during these addresses, and those who listened were convinced that it was the master who spoke through the disciple, so much so that they addressed their questions to the master speaking through her. Question: how do we recognize you? Answer: meet me with open heart, and I shall reveal myself to you. I reveal myself to all in experience. Question: what is the direct way to realize the truth? Answer: resign yourself. Be one with me. Give me your life. Question: how shall we know that we have received something from you? Answer: I shall change yourself. Yourself shall experience the love that passeth understanding. I am God personal. Serve me faithfully.
During these stirring addresses, the Master, working through her, elicited from the people both positive and negative reactions. Some were tormented in conscience, and others experienced descending peace. They experienced a quick oscillation between the opposites of good and evil, precipitating in them the decision to choose and choose decisively. This brought about the shifting between the pure and the impure elements in human nature. Those who understood through feeling knew that it was the love and compassion of the Master which was at work. Those who were ready for being awakened in the heart cried for more love, and to them, through the disciple Norina, the Master said, remember, whether you are good or bad, whether you have or have not the selfless devotion to your own ideal of God, whether you care for my help or react against me because of your prejudices, I love you. I love you as God impersonal loves. It is the light creating facts, giving life to all. And I love you as the truth personified, whom you shall remember forever. I am the God personal, am the real manifestation of the truth. This truth I can make you realize at will. This shall be my donation for you. God impersonal exists as absolute reality in everyone and everything in the finite world, in the transcendent spheres, and the unseen world. I am the same God who has become man in order to come close to you, so that you feel the warmth and the reality of divine love. Through unfathomable ways, I lead you to liberation. To be liberated is to be free from wants and desires. I can do it with my will. My will is love. Love which you will realize in this age at the moment which I shall decide. To those who had lost their way and become desperate, the Master, through the disciples, said, I will lead you through the dark night of the soul. Give unto me all your shortcomings. I will lift you above them. I am the ocean of love. You shall be redeemed. You shall find my peace. Accept my rhythm. Come in tune with it without reservations. I will lift you above yourself. Your inmost self is crying for help. My rhythm of truth shall redeem you. It will open your heart. It will give you new love. It will initiate you in the scient order of spiritual thought. I am the light producing order in everyone. I am the divine will in each and all. I have descended into the world to serve you. I can make man become what he cannot achieve by himself. You need me.
In 1947, the Master, through the spiritual thought order, called to attention a small group of devotees that they should go out and find in the slums of the crowded city of New York the most unfortunate and hopeless ones, that he may bestow to them his spiritual blessing. Baba's blessing to the poor. Let me help you. I can help you. Rest assured that I will help you. You shall know this when I come in person and have you share the treasure that I behold for each and every one of you, that you may share it with me and all others. It is love. Do not worry. These unique statements made by the disciple Norina to the people were subsequently recorded by her. Invested with the power of truth, they were a challenge to them to have faith. It became a definite test. Those who were not hesitant met her with the new ardor of their enlivened heart and were ready to follow the Master. The language which the Master spoke through the princess in her varied appeal-making addresses was thorough, unusually clear, and simple. It was a language from man to man. The simple fact of the truth became so intelligible to everyone that it was for them no more a mysterious puzzle. The Master comes down to the level of everyone. He became for all the father, the mother, and the only friend. The antithesis of life were synchronized, were synthesized to love, For 5 years, Norina Matchabelli carried on this thought order-giving mission until she got the Master's order to cease to work through the spiritual light motion, since it had fulfilled its purpose, and she was summoned back to India in 1947. Free from all prejudice and burning with the longing to serve the cause of the Master, she has renounced all the allurements that a luxurious life in the West can offer, and she has, in full resignation, accepted the life of sacrifice and service. Since the moment of being taken up by the Master for higher type of work, a new calmness has descended upon her. Meher Baba's messages received by her, contained in the fragments from the spiritual diary, have been faithfully recorded. It is genuine spiritual wisdom to help the different types of seekers to know and understand what is the truth in varied thought form. It would be inspiration to all who would think freely. It is pure selfless service in perfect realizing reaction within and without. The pure thought to help in vibratory experience in the human being is not to be understood intellectually, but it is to be seen, knowingly felt. When a thought is transmitted to a person, the efficacy and value of the reception of such transmission depends upon the spiritual status of the source of this transmission. But even at its best, it can only stimulate and guide the recipient. However, when, as a result of the greater spiritual preparation of the disciple, the Master's descending grace directly uses the mind of the disciple for the transmission of the truth through thought order, the disciple is not only himself lifted up to a higher consciousness of closer unity with the Master, but he becomes a creative force which inspires and guides numberless persons who are merely seeking the truth through the intellect.
When the Master is thinking through the ego mind of the disciple, his thought transmissions through the disciple are vibrant with the power of irresistible truth impulse. In this type of thinking, the disciple knows that it is not he, but the Master who is thinking through him. And he is conscious of overreaching himself in vision as well as efficacious working. When the Master uses the mind of a disciple, his messages and teachings imparted through this process are unimpaired in precision, clarity, or power. Meher Baba has been observing silence since the 10th of July, 1925. He has, through his alphabetical board, directly dictated many profound spiritual discourses and issued many inspiring messages. These have appeared in the Meher Baba Journal and have also been independently published. But the Master's messages, which the disciple Norina has transmitted in the pages of this book, are a direct expression of the creative and vibratory thought order within the Master. Through this book, the Master has made the plane of truth available to all who seek it. Let the hungry and weary world ponder deeply and humbly over every word of the message, so that by translating it into everyday life, man is reshaped in the image of the living truth. Blessed are those who become the apostles of his new gospel of the religion of life. Adi Keirani, Kings Road, Ahmednagar, India, 1948. Jai Meher Baba.